Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about an auto repo, but I'm going to talk about it from an angle of potentially being able to get a 1099-C filed for the auto repossession debt. Now, this is one of those crazy situations that occur from time to time, where people actually have the vehicle, trying to get the vehicle title, but they owe debt, and they're like, and on their loan, it's actually an unsecured loan. So the confusion comes in where it's like, hey, it states that the vehicle was repoed, but I have the vehicle, and then it states on there on my loan that it's unsecured. In this loan they haven't been paying on. And so people will say, well, how can I get my title? And how can I, resolve the debt? And is it possible to get a 1099-C for that debt, which is a debt forgiveness? Now, to be clear, for no confusion, I'm not talking about where you go walking up with a paper, mail it to them, and say, go get this money out of my secret Social Security trust account. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about you making a 1099-C and filing it with them and saying that, hey, this is where you could go and get your money. You could just discharge it. No, I'm not saying that. I want to be clear. I said that in another video. I said exactly what I just said now, and the person didn't pay attention because they just said, thank you for believing in where this 1099-C scam stuff. And I was like, I didn't say that. So I'm going to say it again, then I'm going to get into the video. And it could potentially get a 1099-C. I'm telling you the right way to do it. I'm telling you the right way to do it on what you could do it's like a process to get the company to do it, not to where you're trying to file these false forms, creating false forms, putting account numbers on stuff that will get you in trouble, federal charges. Don't do it. What I'm doing is I'm telling you how companies come to a decision where it's like, hey, do a debt forgiveness. And if you don't believe that it can happen, go to my website, creditrepairshop.com. You will see, click on Credit Repair Services, and you will see proof of 1099-C's cancellation of debt. Go to the testimonials page. You will see proof of it. But it did not happen from them walking in there or us mailing the original creditor or debt collector to say, hey, you take it out of this secret account. That did not happen. This is one process of dealing with it with a automobile that an individual has not been paying on automobile. First, so the first thing I always tell people to do, this is exactly what we did. Remember the Santander consumer, Santander financial auto loan settlement, class action settlement with 36 states. This is exactly what we did, is we looked at the lawsuits that were going on. Actually, we were more proactive during that process before it had even matured and a settlement was done. We were actually proactive with our clients, and even clients that were not in those states, because of what was listed in the class action, utilize that information to get 1099-Cs or very good settlements. One young lady owed $13,000 on her car, ended up getting the title and everything for $1,300. It can happen, but it's a process, and it's not a gimmick, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to be a lot of back and forth. There's going to be a lot of paperwork. It's going to be a lot of getting to the right departments. So it's not something that is easy to do, but I'm telling you how to do it. But when you think about it, if you could get out of paying like that young lady over almost $12,000 or $11,700 in debt, that's worth the time to do it. Even if it took a full year, it's worth the time to do it. So look at lawsuits that are out there. Look at other complaints that are out there about the company, and then compare that about your experience with dealing with the company. Because you can take that information to the company and say, this is my experience, and this is what, and you don't even have to say, this is what other people are saying about your company. If it's a lawsuit, then you can actually use that information against them. But if it's not a lawsuit, but you just see that this is a consistent complaint that they have, it could either be with the dealers doing fake applications, which is what happened with Santander. That is on record. They were changing applications. Or it could be like what was happening with American Credit Acceptance, where they were given the contract, and this happened with Santander too. The contract that was given to the finance company was a totally different contract than the contract that was actually signed by the consumer. People with Santander, people with American Credit Acceptance would pay on vehicles for 3, 4, 5 years, and the loan was supposed to be 3 years, 4 years or 5 years or 6 years or 7 years, however long it was. At the end of the payments, at the end of the time period of making the payments, guess what? They almost owed the same amount that they bought the car from. That means that there was something fraudulent with the account, with the way that the paperwork with the contract was. Let me tell you the reason why that can happen. Why this? You say to me, Steve, why would a company do this? Look this up yourself. Companies do it because with these types of companies, these loan companies, these subprime lenders, they only estimate that the person will pay payments on the vehicle for 6 months to maybe 2 years. Most people don't even complete it. Most people will either trade in their vehicle or flat out do what I'm going to be describing here, where it's just repoed, or they don't get the vehicle back and they just have the debt hanging out there trying to collect it. So now you're going to research for any lawsuits with them and with the debt collector, because the debt collector could have issues out there. And the debt collectors don't want to be pointed at, said, hey, you've done this stuff. And I believe that the way that you're coming after me for that debt, you're in violation. So that's why I always, and I'm going to give you a letter that you can go back and forth with them on that. But look for violations that they've had. Specifically with Jefferson Capital, they were buying the Santander debt, and we were finding from clients that they were coming after people for debt that was with a 1099-C from Santander from the lawsuit. They were supposed to claw back that debt from the debt collector. So you want to make sure, if there's any lawsuits that are out there, that if that debt was supposed to be clawed back, that's what they call it. They claw it back. They get it back from the debt collector. In the Santander lawsuit, in the American Credit Acceptance lawsuit, people who owed debt, either if they had their vehicle or not had the vehicle, they were given a 1099-C cancellation of debt. That was part of the terms. So when they say these big amounts of $500 million, a lot of that was just to discharge the debt, forgive the debt from the auto loans that were still hanging out there. So they wasn't going to get the money anyway, and now they were just like, hey, we'll get a full write-off by doing that with this lawsuit. Now, this is, best case scenario. Now, let's go into this right here. Hardship. So there's nothing that qualifies with this. You didn't find anything with the research, even though with these subprime lenders, there's usually something that you can latch on to. But now we get into a hardship. And if it's with the original creditor, you can let them know about the hardship. And what that could do is they could end up getting you in the position of where you could get a discount on what you owe them, like I spoke about with the young lady, where she paid $1,300 on the $13,000, on the remaining $13,000 of the loan. Or you can end up getting it done with a 1099-C if you can prove a hardship. Every creditor is going to have different requirements on what they consider a hardship. And it's going to be hard for you to get to the right department. It's going to be hard for you to be able to get to a person that is going to get this into the right hands. It's going to be a hardship for you personally for what you're going through. And it's going to be a hardship for you to get it into the right hands. But if you get it into the right hands, it's going to be worth it for all of your hard work to get it there. But you want to get your hardship so you can see if they will. And you don't say consider it for the 1099-C. You just letting them know what's going on, and they can make that determination if they're going to continue going after you for the debt, or they may say, or you just get it in the mail one day, just like this young man from got it from Ford Motor Credit for $19,000. They just sent it. They didn't even notify him that they were doing it. And that could happen with the original creditor. That could also happen with a debt collector. Now, something that you need to be aware of, this is something that hits people where they don't even understand it. And that at the beginning of the video, I was talking about this. This is something that people cannot wrap their minds around. They're like, I got the vehicle. I still have the vehicle, but it's saying that it's unsecured, that the loan on my credit report says that it's unsecured debt. Let me tell you the reason why it's unsecured, because they have to do this. When they charge off the debt, they're going to unsecure the money. That means that they're able to do anything with that debt. They could sell it. They could do whatever they want to do. They could do anything with that debt when they unsecure it from the vehicle. What they will keep in their back pocket, though, is they will say, well, we had a title in our name. We had a title in our name. So what everybody tries, what everybody will come to me for, or what the solutions that everybody is trying to look for, is like, what can I do about the unsecured debt? But they're also talking about, I want to get my title. And the original creditor may say to you, well, we don't own the debt anymore, but we sure do have that title. So what do you want to do? So what do you want to do? So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to deal with the original creditor on seeing what are the options for you to be able to get the title. Like that's just straight, period, point blank, direct arrow to where the solution, so you don't avoid and try all these tricks and gimmicks. You got to go directly to them and ask them, what do you got to do? If they say that they sold the debt and that the vehicle is not secured, then you need to just negotiate something to be able to get your title. And it could be a very low amount, because whatever they sold the debt for, that's on them. And you already know my strategy on getting rid of the charge off on your account. But if you have a title, you want to not do that strategy yet until you actually get your title. Then when you have your title, you can say, well, you accepted the money from the debt collector that you sold that to. You accepted that discount. So now you need to either change that charge off to paid or paid for less. That's what you need to change that mark on there, or you could just remove it. But what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to deal with them directly about getting your title. And some of the times it's gonna be a small, I don't wanna say small fee. It could be a couple of $1,000s to be able to get your title. If they still maintain the debt, then you need to go through the process of saying about the hardship and seeing what could be worked out. And maybe they'll do a 1099-C and say that this is just all done and over with. The vehicle isn't worth anything. Even if we went and took it, it's not going to be able to be resold. As a matter of fact, most of the people that find themselves in this situation, they say that the vehicle, they wouldn't, the original creditor didn't even want to come pick it up. That's how bad the vehicle, the situation was with the vehicle. They were like, we don't even want to pick it up. We just want to try to figure out something with the debt. So you could play that into your hardship. Hey, vehicle had all of these issues. I had these issues with the company that sold me the car. I just want to come and let's just work out something. And you'll be surprised that you will, as long as you're, going back and forth with them, they may throw out an offer that you can't afford at the beginning. And when I say can't afford, money-wise can't afford, but you can't afford not to get that done, because not taking care of it can stop you from moving forward with other things in your life. So can't afford may be just about the money right now, and you need to go back and forth about dealing with that, but you got to keep in the top of your mind that you cannot afford not to do a deal with them. Don't let it just sit there. Don't let it balloon up and stop you from other things that you're trying to accomplish in your life. So if you have issues, rewatch this video, because this is the solution. Other people, they don't do this type of work. We do this work in this office on a daily basis or weekly, or whenever clients come to us, we've worked with these. We've made calls for people. So this is exactly what has to be done, not guessing on anything. This is the type of stuff that has to be done to resolve these. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, what makes us different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website, 3scores.com, to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores and all of the information that you're going to need to be able to Find the furnishers who are putting information on your credit reports and see exactly what the original creditor is stating on your credit reports. Also, watch out for the word canceled. If you see on your credit reports the word canceled, that could actually be a 1099-C, and you need to call the IRS to see if they've actually filed a 1099-C already, because they don't notify people. They're supposed to send it to you, but people have been getting it from the IRS and not from the original creditors. If you have debt collectors coming after you, stop them early. Stop them early by getting my 3-pack of letters: statute of limitations, cease and desist, collection activities letter, and debt validation letter. These will stop debt collectors early. They don't expect you to have these. Use the one that is appropriate for your situation. If your debt is past the legal statute of limitations for a debt collector or an original creditor to be able to collect, you do not need to do a debt validation. You just need to notify them that you have no legal obligation to pay them, and they have no legal options to come after you for the money because the debt is past the legal statute of limitation according to your state, for them to be able to come and collect any of the money. You might have a moral obligation, but you don't have a legal obligation. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments, share this video. This is Stephen A. Williams.